Hi friends, this is from Anup Kelkar's Python Academy. So today we are going to continue the previous uh, project, that is liver cancer prediction. Okay, so last in last class we had performed some EDA part on the data set. Now we are going to perform pre-processing task. For that we required sklearn library. So for that, if you didn't install sklearn library in your Jupyter, so for that you can write pip install sklearn. Okay, so an sklearn module is going to install. Whenever you need to perform any pre-processing task, so for that you need to import that library. For that you can write sorry, for that you can write sklearn dot pre-processing import label label encoder. So we have to import label encoder file, class, because we have to convert the categorical value into the numerical form. So we have to encode the values of the categorical value into the numerical form. For that we use label encoder class, and we have to create the object of the label encoder. Okay, so this label encoder will convert the categorical values into numerical one. Okay, so suppose if I want to convert, suppose if I sorry suppose if I want to convert this value of this column into the numerical form, so for that I have to use label encoder technique. Under that label encoder we have to use fit transform. What does it use? So basically fit transform is used to fit the label encoder and that return some encoding labels. We have to pass the column name, then run this one. What it will do, it will convert all the categorical values of this column into the numerical one. If you want to see whether it will uh, converted or not, so for that you need to simply run this command. So this will convert it into the categorical one. Okay, so likewise I have to convert all the columns into category numerical one. So these all are the column. Okay, so for that we need to create one column variable which will convert the entire categorical column into numerical one. Okay, so for that I need to use for loop because these are as much more column names are there. So for I in calls we will try to iterate all the columns with the help of data frame. Now we will see whether it will converted or not. Print. It will take some time to convert all the categorical value into numerical one. So there are total 16,292 rows are there, which will convert it into the numerical one. Okay. If you want to see the top 5 records of the column, so for that you need to run this one. So see, if you view the top 5 values of the column, that will convert it into the numerical one due to the help of label encoder. Okay. Now if you want to see the relationship between the numerical columns, so for that we will use correlation method. So it will shows wherever the, see, if you see the, sorry, if you see the relationship between region and country is nearly 2%. If you see the relationship between country and population column, 0.8%. So like this we will see the relationship between the columns. If you see the relationship between country to country is 100%. Okay, so likewise now we will move to the modeling part. Okay, wherever we can use machine learning. This is a modeling part. Okay. So for that, first we need to define the input variable and target variable. Okay, so as far as input variable is concerned, we will try to assign a capital X to the input variable. So from the data frame we need to drop the target variable, and target variable is um, prediction. We need to drop the prediction column along the axis 1, that is column. Okay, and then we need to pass this column to the y variable, that is output variable. If you want to see whether we get the correct value or not, we get the column name, value of the column prediction to the y. If you want to see the what is the input variable, that is a what is the column names of the x variable. So like these all are the columns. Okay, this is the input variable, and this is a target, sorry, this is a target variable. So this is the output target variable. So now here we will try to select the model. So for that selection of model we need to write the from selection sklearn model selection model. So for that you can write from sklearn dot model selection import. Now we have to split the entire data set into 2 or 3 parts, that is a train, test and evaluate. So for that we need to import the module, that is a train test split. So now we were trying to divide the input variable and target variable into 2 parts, that is a train and test. So for that we can write train test output variable, that is a target variable, also divided into 2 parts, that is a train and test. Now we will use the train test method. Okay, where we will trying to divide the input variable x and output variable y into certain ratio. So we need to pass that ratio also. Okay, that is a train size, that is actually 60% of data should be passed to the training purpose, and rest of all the data should be passed to the test, that is of course 40% should pass. It is not mandatory you need to pass only train size, you can pass either test size also. So whatever value, whatever ratio of the data you pass to the test size, rest of all data is automatically passed to the train size. Okay, you can put the random state as 0, and while keeping this random state 0 you need to put the same, otherwise according whenever you can whenever you will vary the value of the random state, the output should be vary. Okay, so if you want to see whether how much data is trained, so for that you can use this one, this much data is trained. Okay, if you want to use suppose you want to view the top 5 records, so this is the top 5 records input, this is a top 5 input variable which is going to pass to the train part. Okay, now if you want to see how much data has been passed to the output variable, this much is data has been passed to the output variable. Actually it is a test variable of the input part. Okay, so now we want to apply KNN on this data set. So for that we need to use the KNN module. So for that we can use from sklearn dot neighbor import kneighbor classifier. Okay, so for that we after if you want to apply KNN on this data set, you need to use this line from sklearn dot neighbor import kneighbor classifier, where we try to create the empty list which is for trained variable, empty list for test variable, and how much features has been passed to this module, that is k, that should be empty also. Okay, so here for now I have to apply kneighbor classifier on row from 3 to uh, we need to pass the column from 3 index to 15. So for that we need to write 3 comma 16, last value is excluded. Here we need to create the model of the kneighbor classifier. For that we need to use how many neighbors you want. So initially we will take whatever value of I, currently value of I, that is a neighbor classifier value is there. Now we want to fit the input variable, that is a xtrain and ytrain. If you want, now we want to predict the target variable, so for that we need to use predict function of the kneighbor classifier. And now we want to predict the output variable of the test part. And then one by one element of the kneighbor classifier, that should be append to the k, and one by one element should be append to the trained variable. So for that we can write KNC. If you want to find out the score of the trained variable, so for that you can write trained variable should be appended to the trained empty list. Test variable should be appended to the we want to append the score of test variable, that is x test, y test. Now we will use plt dot figure plt dot plot x comma tr plt dot, first we will run this one, it will take some time. Okay, after that we will trying to plot the trained variable. For that we can write plt dot plot x input variable to along the trained column, plt dot plot number of feature to the test variable. Then we want to see what is the how the graph has been shown. For that we can write show method. It will take some time. Okay, यार अरे यार.
सुबह ब्रेकफास्ट में या शाम की छोटी मोटी भूख ये 5 मिनट में बनने वाली सुपर सॉफ्ट एंड यम्मी दही चटनी टोस्ट से ट्राई करना तो सबसे पहले हम लेंगे दही को स्टैंड करेंगे ब्लैक पेपर चिली फ्लेक्स और एक सिंपल चटनी बनाएंगे जिसके लिए पहले जाने वाली लहसुन हरी मिर्ची थोड़ा सा धनिया और नमक इसे ऐड करेंगे मिक्स कर लेंगे फिर लेंगे ब्रेड और इसे ना अच्छे से सेक लेंगे फिर एक पैन बना लेंगे बटर और दोनों तरफ से टोस्ट करेंगे गर्मा गर्म सर्व करेंगे और याद रखें कि बहुत ज़्यादा टेस्टी बनता है तो ट्राई करना लाइक करना फॉलो करना सुबह ब्रेकफास्ट में या शाम की छोटी मोटी भूख ये 5 मिनट में बनने वाली सुपर सॉफ्ट एंड यम्मी दही चटनी टोस्ट से ट्राई करना तो सबसे पहले हम लेंगे दही को स्टैंड करेंगे ब्लैक पेपर चिली फ्लेक्स और एक सिंपल चटनी बनाएंगे जिसके लिए पहले जाने वाली लहसुन हरी मिर्ची थोड़ा सा धनिया और नमक इसे ऐड करेंगे मिक्स कर लेंगे फिर लेंगे ब्रेड और इसे ना अच्छे से सेक लेंगे फिर एक पैन बना लेंगे जिसमें बटर और दोनों तरफ से टोस्ट करेंगे गर्मा गर्म सर्व करेंगे और याद रखें कि बहुत ज़्यादा टेस्टी बनता है तो ट्राई करना लाइक करना फॉलो करना सुबह ब्रेकफास्ट में या शाम की छोटी मोटी भूख ये 5 मिनट में बनने वाली सुपर सॉफ्ट एंड यम्मी दही चटनी टोस्ट से ट्राई करना तो सबसे पहले हम लेंगे दही को स्टैंड कर लेंगे ब्लैक पेपर चिली फ्लेक्स और एक सिंपल चटनी बनाएंगे जिसके लिए पहले जाने वाली लहसुन हरी मिर्ची थोड़ा सा धनिया और नमक इसे आज बना रहे हैं पिज्जा खत्म बंद होता है क्या आपको पता है मार्केट में मिलने वाले प्रोसेस चीज को आप आप लोगों ने पराठे के लिए बाहर हो रही तो आप इतनी जरूरी बनिए घुटने तक क्या आपको पता है आई एम श्योर आप अगर आप फिर बिना गैस जलाए सिर्फ दुबई आज बना रहे और क्या आपने अगर आपका भी मन फेस्टिव सीजन तो फेस्टिव सीजन के लिए कुछ टेस्टी और इजी मिठाई बनाना चाहते हो 2 मिनट में मैगी बने या ना बने पर 5 मिनट में ये झटपट और बहुत ही ज्यादा मजेदार है आज आपको जरूर समझ जाएंगे एंड सच्ची बता रही हूँ रेसिपी बहुत ही ज्यादा सिंपल है उबले हुए आलू में ऐड करेंगे प्याज टमाटर हरी मिर्ची फ्रेश धनिया हल्का सा नमक और हल्दी मसाला
Basically, this model will take some time. Okay, so you can go through this step. You will see the relationship between the input variable and trend data, whereas you will see the relationship between the test data and the number of feature. Okay, so likewise they will give you this code will give you the visualization where you can directly visualize it. Okay, so this is from my side. If you have any query regarding this problem statement, feel free to ask. Okay, thank you, have a nice day.